The general headquarters, the GHQ green stopline, ran from Highbridge in Somerset for some 91 miles in a large semicircle, and it formed the outer protection ring for Bristol and the Avonmouth docks. And it rejoined it joined the River Severn at a place called Upper Framalode in Gloucestershire. Along its length, they were constructed some 330 pillboxes and more than 20 miles of anti-tank ditches, or trenches as I prefer to call them. It was a massive feat of civil engineering, and this was completed in a few short months following the evacuation from Dunkirk. So wherever possible along the line, natural defensive barriers were employed, such as rivers and railway lines. But for practical and probably strategic reasons, where that wasn't possible, they had to construct man-made defences. Now these man-made defences were where the trenches came in, the anti-tank trenches or ditches. They used dragline excavators, and from the research I've done, they could actually dig some 300 metres or 300 yards of trenches in a day. We've come out to a location just close to the small village, beautiful small village of Freshford in Somerset. Now this area here is possibly one of the very few, if not actually unique, areas where you can still see visible evidence of anti-tank trenches or ditches, running slit trenches and pillboxes, all within the same wooded area. And the very first thing we see as we enter Hogwood is these running trenches, or evidence of the running trenches. They're obviously not as deep as they were in 1940, but you can see the running trench there. From that direction, zigzagging, and it does zigzag through the trees. And it also goes in this direction here. I should probably see it a little bit better this side. And it zigzags up through the trees in that direction. So there's a running trench running both sides here and into the woods. Now let's just keep walking along it for a little bit and see if it develops more of the other side of this growth here. Considering these trenches were dug some 84 years ago, you can still see a visible sign of it there as it runs through in that direction and deeper into the wood. So Hogwood is actually used by a local archery club for target practice. So along the way you will see numerous targets that they use. So here's one there, which is a Canadian goose, Canadian goose I believe. But here is our first Type 24 pillbox. I would normally have a look inside, but we're into November now. We're just starting into November the 6th today, and you know, there could be bats in here hibernating now, or starting the hibernation. So the entrance is only just partially bricked up. There's one of the loophole firing ports there. So we can have a look round it, we can have a good walk round. And as I've said in other videos or previous videos, even though it looks like it's brick construction, the bricks are purely used for shuttering. So inside, the brickwork there, there's a good example there. So here you can see where the bricks have fallen away there and still loose, I won't fall that off. Here's the internal concrete construction there. So the bricks, again, as I said, were just used purely for shuttering purposes. So they had to use whatever they had at the time. And bricks were obviously in greater supply than timber. So we're going to leave this Type 24 behind us, and we're going to carry on into the woods. So stay with me and see what else we can find. So we've actually dropped down into the first part of the trench, the anti-tank ditch or trench. You can see it there running through in this direction. Up on the left up here is another Type 24 pillbox. And here's another archery target in front of us. Yeah, fortunately we never actually saw these guys on British soil. But yeah, he's got a few holes in him. And there's a Type 24 tucked up there out of the way. And the ditch or trench runs off in that direction along there. Now I've had a quick look in here just with my camera torch, and there are no bats in here. There are some hibernating butterflies, but we won't disturb those. But obviously if there's bats, then I wouldn't even attempt to go in there. But we're going to have a look at this one. We're just coming in through the entrance. It's a little bit tight, a little bit low now. There we go, inside. It's lovely and dry in here, no rubbish in here at all, which is good to see. Now actually in the previous video, I've got this actually wrong, my description of these Bren gun firing ports. So this hole here is not where waste shells went in. This is where the Bren gun front of the tripod sat. And as you pull back here, these pedestals, again, for not sitting on and playing cribbage, this was where the further part of the Bren gun tripod sat. So the whole Bren gun sat on this pedestal and the front end of the tripod in that hole there, and probably in this little cutout shelf there as well. And through the firing port, going back to the entrance and making our way back out. Peacock butterflies. So if you ever wonder why these are called pillboxes, doesn't take a lot of working out. So before we had Boots the Chemist, we used to have apothecaries, and the little pillboxes that they used to distribute the pills in were hexagonal in shape, I believe, and so they resemble the pillboxes. Every day's a learning day. So behind me is our third and final Type 24 pillbox in this wood, in Hogwood, and there behind me there is the anti-tank ditch filled with water here that runs down through here. And so this pillbox was at the end of the ditch. Oops, crocodile in Hogwood. So let's have a quick look around this Type 24. We know it's a Type 24 because of its semi-hexagonal shape. It's not a full hexagon shape. And the Type 24s have this, what is an entrance porch. It's concrete porch there. So that's, I believe it's called the external blast wall. So any shells or grenades that landed close to the entrance on that side, so the blast wall by its shape and the entrance going that way would protect any shrapnel from flying in the open doorway. That's my understanding. I stand to be corrected, but that's my understanding of the external blast wall. Just to give you a little bit more sense of the scale of these anti-tank trenches or ditches, I'm standing in one here, and I'm 6 feet tall, 6 foot 2 inches tall, and there's the top of the bank which is above me. So I'm pretty certain they would have been deeper at the time, but certainly not a lot wider. Now someone asked me, how would they stop a tank? So today, these are not going to stop any tanks. But back in the day, where the sides were sheer, steep, probably 8 to 10 feet deep and 15 feet across, then any tank that entered the ditch or tried to enter the ditch or did enter the ditch would go down one side, come into the bottom, and it would basically breach itself. It wouldn't be able to go, it wouldn't be able to reverse, and it wouldn't be able to go forward because you'd be sat in a hole. So effectively disabling itself. At that point, then whoever guys were knocking around could come along and disable it properly. So that's how the ditches worked. So absolutely fascinating location, Hogwood, just outside of Freshford in Somerset. You know, if you're ever in this area, come and check it out, because you're actually physically walking in history. And as I said earlier, possibly a unique location where you can actually still do that. So if you enjoyed this video, usual stuff, like and subscribe. Have a good one. See you next time.